So I would have
Mhm.
these ideas and I'd be like, ooh, and I would, I would have a sacral response to my ideas. Like, oh, I love this idea for a group coaching program. And then I'd go on and I'd start creating it and it wouldn't land, it wouldn't expand, it wouldn't grow because I was not responding to my environment. So
Uh,
when in hindsight, looking back, I was like, Kayla, you were responding to your ideas. You weren't responding to your environment. The reason why we need to respond to our environment is so that we can co-create. So the
mhm.
reason why I'm telling you this is
Yeah.
because I want you to notice if
Mhm.
you think that, you're playing with the idea, okay, do I want to have this many people in this workshop? Are you responding to your ideas? Are you like, oh, I think this is a good idea. This is maybe how much money I could make. This is how this could all work out. But ultimately, it's like, what do you think your community
Mhm.
needs from you? Because then you're
Mm.
responding to them and you're co-creating with them rather than responding to your ideas. Because right now, when I'm hearing
Mm.
you, I'm like seeing and hearing myself in you. And I was doing this last year and it burnt me out. Does that
Mm.
resonate?
Yep, that does. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very good.
Where is this idea coming from?
Where is that
Is
idea
it
coming from?
where is the
Okay.
idea coming from? Is it coming from my environment? Am I responding to something, an observation, something someone said to me, or
Mhm.
am I thinking of an idea, right? That open head center. So I only
Mhm.
have the 61 defined. The open head center, there's a
Mhm.
tendency to, we get all this information and we have all these ideas, and there's like this mental pressure of like, oh, I need to create something. So I kind of have this theory that the sacral starts responding to the mental pressure
Oh, okay.
rather than the environment.
Mm.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was you talked a little bit about pricing and just the kinds of offers that you were doing. And obviously, for example, if you decided to expand and do something bigger, then naturally that would be a higher ticket offer.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious how familiar you are with the experience of having an open heart center, because I definitely have some
The only
wisdom.
thing I know about that, okay, I know very minimal, is that I can't make promises. Something about that nature.
No,
I don't know,
I'm
something
good
like
at,
that.
I know, but I just say no because it's, this is, okay, this is so good. Sometimes what happens when it comes to having definition or not in your chart is
Yeah.
there's these beliefs that get passed around the internet where people say you can and can't do specific things based off your definition, which is
Mhm.
obviously limiting, and we're not here to have that conversation. So
Okay.
when you have it defined, what it means is that that person who has a definition, they're going to have a consistent access to their willpower and their commitments. Okay.
Okay.
So they're going to know their limits. They're going to have more awareness of their limits in terms of what they can commit to. When you
Okay.
have it undefined or open, what happens is the shadow side can be over promising and over
Mm.
delivering, with this compensating, this need to prove oneself because we don't have the consistent energy within us to know our limits. So this is why that explanation comes across as, oh, you can't keep promises. It's not the same thing.
How does one with an open heart center be able to figure out what their limits are, or we
Yeah.
just err on the side of little bit of promises, not too
No,
much? Like,
I think it's a great question. So what
mhm.
I would say is that when I have this center completely open as well, so I can really speak to this, reminding ourselves that we get to decide what our limits are. Okay. And what I mean by that is that, let's say we know somebody in business and they commit to doing, 3 summits a month. They're doing 3 speaking engagements a month. They do that consistently every month because that works for them. And then the difference for us having an open heart center may be like seeing that and be like, oh, I need to do three
Mhm.
speaking engagements a month. And then all of a sudden we put ourselves into their limitations and their expectations of their heart center, when really it's like, well, do I need to do 3 speaking engagements a month? What if I want to do one? Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
commit to one, right? So just
Mhm.
having that awareness that we don't get caught up in making commitments that are the same as other people around us and their
Mm.
business.
Ooh.
We can speak to this because we both have our sacral defined.
Mhm.
Having the sacral defined, let's just compare this to somebody who's a projector, manifestor, reflector. They'll never have their sacral defined. So
Okay.
we will have this consistent access to our creative energy. Like
Okay.
we can just, we get into something and then it's like we just have this energy to keep going, especially if we love what we're doing, right? So it just
Mhm.
kind of goes, there's a natural flow. So if you think
Mhm.
about it, when somebody has their sacral undefined, they're going to get caught up in, especially if somebody's overworking, like say they're out of alignment, they have their cycle defined, they're overworking. They're going to start, connecting to that energy. And then they're going to think, oh, I have to overwork. I need to post all the time. I need to create all this content, do all these things. But that's not how they're designed to show up. Right. But for us, because we have it defined, that's natural to us. We're going to have more of a sustainability with that creative energy. So if you take that same concept and you put it into the open heart center, you can see how those who have it defined, they're just going to have more. It is one of the 4 motor centers. So the heart center, the emotional solar plexus, the root, and the sacral, these are all 4 motor centers. So they have that motor energy. So they're just going to have this motor energy when it comes to commitment to potentially make more commitments, but that doesn't mean that they're better at making commitments. It just means they have a different stamina compared to somebody who has an open or undefined heart. And it's for us to decide what is our values and what we deem to be our limits for commitments. It doesn't make us any more or less. I think that's the shadow from the open heart center, this needing to prove. Yeah, so just be aware of that, because what are you doing? You're probably comparing yourself to someone else who has what it is that you're striving for. And then there's this motivation behind the scenes of, oh, well, if I do more and I achieve more, then I will X, Y, and Z, have more worthiness, be more valuable because I'll have more books, I'll have more money, I'll have more freedom, whatever it is to you, right? So are you familiar with conscious definition and then unconscious definition in your chart?
A little bit. Red is the unconscious.
Yeah.
And
So
black is conscious.
Yeah, exactly. So I have something interesting I want to share with you just to bring to your awareness, because we're talking about cycles and that kind of thing. So your unconscious definition is completed 88 days before the day that you're born. And then your conscious definition, so personality side, is the day that you're born. Together, these layered together creates your quantum chart, which is you being a 6-2 sacral generator. Okay. So when I look at your charts separately, so if I look at your design chart, so the day 88 days before you're born, this is what shows up. So this is all your unconscious definition.
Oh, I've never seen it separate like this. That's
I know. Just wait. I think you're going to be a little bit stunned when I show you your personality side. So this is you unconsciously. So I'm actually very impressed. I mean, it makes sense because your 9 is also consciously defined, even though it's reaching for the 52, that you're so connected to this. Because usually what happens with our unconscious gates is that we obviously have that definition, but we don't consciously notice it as much, right? So to contemplate, I would love to invite you to the gates that you have defined unconsciously in your chart, to go and contemplate these gates and see how they show up in ways you may not notice. So there's that. And then the other thing, I'm really excited to show you this. So your personality side, the day that you were born, you were actually imprinted as a reflector.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I want to tell you this. Because one of the things that gets said to sacral generators, for example, as having a sacral authority, is that it's in the moment. You respond to your environment in the moment. However, I have a friend of mine also who has a reflector chart, consciously, and she notices that she needs more time to respond. And I feel like this is the reflector side of, they have more cycles, and they really thrive with the cycles of the moon, right? So I'm really curious if in your life, if you notice that you need more time to make decisions despite being a sacral generator.
Yes, there are certain things I do, and yes, it's so true. And then sometimes I'm like, I was certain this is how I felt about this. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, now I don't, the whole retreat thing. I was so certain about the retreat thing. And then as a couple of months go by, because we had to plan a year in advance. I was for this summer, and I was like, no, let's do next year. And I can't seem to make a fucking decision on if I want to go forward or not, because it's a really big commitment, and I don't want to sign up for anything that isn't gonna work.
Yeah. So the fact that you have a reflector side to you will explain what I would do in that sense is I would next time, I mean, we just had the new moon on the 2nd, but really sit with the decision for a whole month and keep track of your energetic experiences around making this decision. And then at the end of the month, maybe you really do give yourself a whole month to decide, am I going to move forward with this? And then come back and reassess with your sacral and then ask. But look, and the other thing too is in that month to really keep track of the things that are coming up in your environment to respond to, so you're not just in your head and your ajna.
That's kind of annoying.
But you know what? The thing is, like, the reflectors, like, but reflectors are so brilliant, and you have this side of you, like, you get to have this sacral energy, and then being a reflector, like, you're going to reflect so much wisdom back to the collective. You know, you're going to have this in you naturally, where it's like you're going to see things, you're going to know, you know, what's integral, especially having a completely open heart center. That's the other gift of having an open heart center, is like you're really going to be able to know what integrity is and what it means to you, and really, you know, like sniff it out, for example, right? So even though you might feel like, oh my God, this takes so long, it's, if you notice that that is your head and your ajna creating this pressure of needing the answers rather than actually trusting the divine timing of what you're meant to do.
Wow, this is just so like paradigm shift type of information to take in. I'm gonna need a month to digest this.
Oh yeah, right.